Yeah, someone said that apparently there were.
One of the cables had like split halfway through.
Oh. Oh dear. Oh.
You got to go.
Yeah, well, it is after 7 o'clock, so can we make a start? Can I ask everyone to the December meeting of the FES? Yeah. Are there any apologies? Yeah. Are there any declarations of interest? No. And for the minutes of the last meeting on the 1st of November. Seconded. Any comments or no? Those in favour of the minutes then? Thank you. Public forum. There's no public here. We're moving on to item 6, exclusion of the public. That just relates to just the last item. Item 12, yeah. Yeah. 7, financial update. Any comment? Being a bit more start.
I will say that there are been some amendments the last one that I think now is the correct one. Yeah, other than that, yeah, there are any questions?
On the commitment column, CCTV, that 84 include
The 84 is basically you've got in there, you've got the parent and there's an element of there's also 6 well, when Naomi was here, we agreed for 2 cameras for so reception area, because obviously we've rented this out. So that was committed, however, because it was basically although we stepped out of the year before, so because it was that amount of time left. However, when it's come back, it is more. This is something I wanted to discuss along with obviously the budget item. The majority of it obviously has been. However, we can't find it again. So because of the yeah, it's the obviously we've got the maintenance contract and this people with all CCTV, and he did say that he wanted a decision that he needs to if he sends the order off obviously this year and secure pricing. However, if it lays any longer, then those prices will be still and will go up. So the question is, do we want to then we compare the this financial year and pay the rest next financial year. Just work the budget, but then do we want to do that or do we want to not do it and save a bit of money?
And I can see the object running a camera at the front door, but you need it in other rooms.
I think it was mainly the reception, the corridors.
What? The cost of talking about. Slightly confused, the 87,000, that's. Okay, yes.
That it's include the figure that's in here that David was on about, includes that commitment. But the commitment is through a lesser amount than the new quotes come through. So basically, we've already committed 6,500, and the new quotes coming in 8.
So we 2,000 short. If we say we'll pay, we're talking a deposit on the 8,000.
Yes.
Just the 8,000. So if we say we can give a deposit on that, we get this year's prices, but we start in February. By the time the 2,000 is due, it'll be next year anyway. So I think that's the easiest way to.
The only other thing to consider is obviously the internal cameras do come obviously with their own maintenance and has a fully comprehensive maintenance contract, which I think is valid. But if you're all happy with the easiest option is obviously straight deposit and then pay out next year.
Yeah, just so clear what we're covering the long reception. Yeah, going on to the and which what about out of the room well here? The function.
Yes.
Yeah, because see that could be useful.
We only have 3. Is it 2?
Right, it's obviously just going on. Sorry, just going off the coordination. You would have to recall.
I think one of the things you have to be careful of. I think we need the one for reception. I think that camera, I think that one's important. But particularly at the back corridor downstairs, if anyone's using front function one, or they come in through reception, and anybody who's using one of our rooms for whatever reason, whether they buy it short term or if it's somebody using an office on a long basis, you have to give them freedom to go to toilets in the corridor downstairs and upstairs. One of the problems how Naomi saw it, when we discussed it a year ago now, was there are our offices that they use downstairs on that bottom corridor. You've got to have them unlocked for the day because you're in and out and in one office and out and into another. And you don't know who's going down that back corridor, supposedly going to toilets or wherever, and you don't know where they're going. So that back corridor doesn't need covering. Because if somebody did get through that door, anyone on that back corridor, if they were on their own and in a room on their own, they couldn't go there. So I think you've got to cover that corridor. But whether you need one in the actual function room, possibly we do, but I think it's more of a luxury than having one on that corridor.
I think there was one on the, when you go through the main doors as well, that.
Okay. All heard of the public property family wedding. There could somebody that eyed the place for the photo. I think it's a bit spoiling the ship for an empathy. Not, you know, everything else is covered but the function. So it could just run in a room. Everybody knows.
Going back to what Brian said about, you know, would it be same if there were 3 cameras, so maintenance contract? I think to some degree it would be probably pro rata if it's less cameras, but I don't think it will be an even split if it's. I don't think it'll be half if you 2. I think it'll be more than half. I don't think it'll drop down like that, so that if you'd only 1 camera, you'd be paying a quarter of it. I don't think it'll work like that. So probably, in an ideal world, if you could afford all 4 cameras, I think you could afford all 4. And if you don't, if you get 3 now and then decide you need the 4, you'd probably pay more for the 4 because it would be a one-off job just to put that one in, wouldn't it? So,
I think they regret not putting the function room camera in there.
yes, because something had happened. Yeah, something had gone wrong.
When drinks involved, then
Yeah. Somebody wants to say eye to eye with someone, and something's going to happen, and you're right, and it's better if you get it through.
I will say, I haven't got that in the presentation.
I think that we go ahead and see this year's pricing.
we have had a deposit this year and the balance next year. Those are
Yeah.
Okay. Next one now, Colin, is the rental properties number. That will repair
Which one, sorry?
the rental properties.
Yes, we have had substantial repairs to the annex room. And there's also the repairs. Yeah, so they. Yeah, but it was a substantial increase.
And all the costs of the moves 22.
The, yes. But it's, and obviously now I've got a 3 budget.
Go ahead. Move all the costs.
Accepted. I was in favour.
Okay.
Item 8. Budget review.
anyone know how to reduce it?
So you need to zoom out here.
Yeah.
Bottom right hand corner, there's a zoom bar. You go for minus. That one. Behind all your icons as well, at the top, just where the image is, in that right hand side, the way to lift up.
Or if you could, well,
All those icons.
if you can't see that, you can double click on the word home in the top left hand corner, it will hide that thing. Of that arrow, you can't see that.
There you go.
I think if you double click, usually if you double click that thing, it just disappears.
Don't we have this printed out?
Right, I mean, obviously, the main thing is that, obviously. Main reason for that is obviously general inflation, general rent costs. Everything else I'm trying to look at, trying to minimize as much. Say, like stationery, things stuff well, that's where that would be. Obviously, we've got increase. And there is a few things that we discussed sort of throughout the year. There was one which was having a grant of the pension reserves. Now that's obviously additional, and that's in $1,000. And also, last year, that's how the blues back. So that's what's. These away. But can I also have any questions on the budget? And go and sort of like detail on the screen.
What's our best one to look at? That is the. That's the one that's.
There's,
Once we go back to all right, red, green, so.
yeah, last time I did the summary for the 3 years summary, and I did it as the first one, based on the start of the arts. And I think last year you said, well, isn't it better comparing it to the current budget, which is what I've done in the second one.
Yeah.
Which obviously shows that we have put a lot of extras in, and if you look at the precept that would be needed, actually, but that is basically what was it, 144,000 forward from last year, and we've also been from the market for the different capital projects.
Yeah.
So that explains the 911.
was going to ask what that 911 was, but yeah, so we've got 674 as our actual accounts. Therefore, we've got 240 odd there, which we'd have to find from, you say, four stuff, plus earmarks. Okay. Essentially what we're saying is the 674, which is the current percentage, I've got to go to 825.
If we go,
If we go, yes. I can see on things like, as you say, how many codes, allotments, code improvements. The reason they drop on years, quite a bit there is. I suppose looking at your assumptions, read numbers.
yes. Actually, I think some of those
Yeah.
are probably, I think I'm manually increase some of them. The utilities, I increased by more than that.
Right.
Electricity and gas, I've put 30% in for that for next year and then another 20% in following year. Water, I've just put 5%. But yeah, obviously that is quite big. Also fuel prices are also, but we've just got fuel in the governance. They're obviously the vehicles in the front.
Suppose kick the tires on things like other inflation numbers. The middle on the top row there, we got 2% global, non-global, etc. Got 3% on staffing.
Actually, that may go up. For the insurance costs, I have in the 23, 24, there are some additions that they're not going to charge us that we change during the year that don't apply to it. So they're going to.
I suppose, I mean, what they want, you've been through the exercise of going through each of them. In a sense, we have to say, well, you know, is it, if you take almost like an average of the 3 years in the future, compare the cost of running them to the income you get, so you get a net cost of running them. That means things like Alton Jones Park cost about 95,000 a year to run. We've got things like the allotments cost us 26,000 to run. Events, obviously, we put on further events there. Prison Community Centre, 42,000 to run that. That's high. Code in Blue, 24,000 approximately. There's a few of these ones where either we have to really take a fair share of the small get to say, can we get a bit more money from these things? Should we be putting on the out the allotment prices? Can we get more revenue at Prison, for example? Costing us 50,000 plus, we're only making 8 on it.
One thing that we probably, I mean, I sort of put a figure in for a present to the business. That is one thing. Go up or down. They're not based on anything. They're probably similar to what we were last year or the year before, but not necessarily stay. I have tried to reduce ones that I think that or yeah. Events, there is an increase in that mainly due to the fact that we were talking the Christmas. And obviously, the past few years we have had problems with and the gazebo. So we were thinking that if we do still want to do a Christmas event, we would be better off hiring market that become obviously proper weighted for anything that obviously would be conditioned. Like that, but that is an extra cost. And how
Suppose we take a overall, if you look back at our item 7, you see our actual spend for 8 months of this 714,000. Now, if you say, well, all right, straight away, let's have another third onto that, you're into the 950 to a million. We know that includes a whole bunch of things for raw oil used here, and a few one-offs as well, budgets. If that's not going on a million, if you look at the 23.4 here and say, well, 183.3, doesn't. If you take out the 800 for town hall group, you've got 1,033. You've got a bit of increase. Then it's almost like you've got to take out one-offs we have with raw oil. They come up by, 200, 250 pounds.
there is also a substantial increase in, if we do take it on the roof, the interest repayments to the interest rate will go up quite a bit. This is the last one. So that's about 20 grand there.
Yeah. Anything else got a thought?
Well, I have one comment, Gina, but I don't know the answer to it, because I think part of this item is back to front in a sense. A lot of these increases are a direct consequence of the prices that the new tenders are coming at. And unfortunately, that has to be discussed in the private bit at the end. And the explanation for some of these prices having gone up is actually in that later item. And we can't discuss that now because it's a private item.
They in the
What I've actually done is just worked out, because an alternative work out correct. So what I did is I looked at what we make now. If we chose the cheapest option, what we would be paying, and then looked at the increase, and basically the increase which figure like that now.
right, okay.
So the values covered, but not necessarily in the correct budget.
Right, okay, so you spread it.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I think to decide on some of the figures in here as to what we would like to leave in the budget or whether there is any leeway to get down. Before we can decide some of that, I think we need to make the decision on the tenders. Unfortunately, if we're going to the private session and do the tenders, we can't come back to this and remove the private session status and then open it back up to a normal meeting again, because I don't think you can reverse it once you've done it again, have we? I've never known it done.
No, well, I don't know specifically that you can't,
No.
but like you, private,
No, no, you
because
can't.
it gets shut to the end.
That's
Yes.
why
Yes. Yeah.
But if we got the tender figures are in there, although not necessarily where they should. So hopefully it's not a million miles from there, but I don't know. So
Taking account of in here, what I'm saying is, the sum of these amounts we can't reduce if we're going to accept the tenders, because they're directly related to them.
just a question on, you've got the expenditure for, looking at the blue line, we've got 163,000, blah, blah, blah. For 23 for going across. So the net 23, 24 is 116. We said we're limited to 6.
That's the income on that side. It's 163 minus 116.
No, sorry.
If you not one off the other, it gives a figure proportionate to the 60,000.
I'm just going cross-eyed looking at two spreadsheets at the same time. And this one's a pretty small one.
Yes, it is. That's a good point.
What they found, I mean, it's a case of, we look at the thing we spend money on, are there further things we can do, or are there things we should stop doing? Or do we think it's something that one-off needs highlighted, perhaps that won't recur, so they're one-off repairs, or big installation, things like that. We put the utility cost on. Then we've got the idea of, when was the last time we put rates for charging? When town hall, parties in various places, etc. Although they contribute this positive, they're running at a net cost. You have to say, are we happy?
Smaller. Well, what I can say about the allotments is a considerable length of time since the cost to rent one of our allotments went up. The allotments committee, I think I'm safe in saying, has always been of the mind that they didn't want to increase them. And another problem with increasing them is you can't just decide now that you're going to increase them for argument's sake from the 1st of April for next year. You can't do that. You've got to do a year's notice anyway.
Yeah.
So it takes a long while to fall into the system. And if we decided this budget session, well, you know, when it goes to full council next week, to increase the allotment, it wouldn't kick in until April 2024.
Yeah.
So it won't be a quick gain.
No.
And it won't be a quick gain anyway, because
No, but do we know what we charge? Yes, we do. We've got the figure available now. So what? The average, I presume they're all a bit different.
They are all different, it depends on area. Well, kind of, I mean, obviously we have lots on how it goes, the ground was on it. But yeah, it's mainly on area, it depends on if the residents corner or
Surprising that the range of the big from fire costs. Sorry. But does anybody know what the cost of an average allotment is?
how many allotments is there? And how much income do we get just divided? Give you a rough idea.
Well, 150 or what?
It's 150.
We get, well, we get been short of 15, 14, 7. That's
100 there. 1,000 there.
what's that?
It's about
Well, even if we put them up at the current rate of inflation, which is you know, for argument's sake, somewhere between 10 and 15%. We're only talking about 10 or 15 quid. But, you know, we've got to do it sooner or later.
Where will we go? Is it right?
Not all of them, but they, yeah, we do have
It's very,
How we got away to this with the whole year?
because some of them need work before.
everyone want that to do along the side of playing it out.
Oh, yeah, or they want, and all.
There is one there, one there.
Yeah, we do offer. Oh, so
That's
that's
cheap.
actually, they take them on.
I need to make it sustainable, don't drive them on them. Learn to walk, on the bikes, whatever.
It's nice to have this, but it's easy to pick the others off.
Another problem with it is, it's the allotments committee that normally say they don't want to increase the price, and I can understand why. But the allotments committee is a committee that has no financial control whatsoever. They're not in a position where they can just put them up anyway. But I'd have to come here over the council, wouldn't it? So it just doesn't happen.
It's like anything we charge for, can't just be, you know, cost of going. And one of those things called. They are, saying, you know, we want, how they charge. They cut the costs, they profit even, because it contributes to other things the council does. And, you know, you just need to get the discipline in there too. The allotment price has been frozen for many years, then it's time for a catch up. Otherwise, I'm a problem allotment, so I'm paying for it. Just a pot of tax.
Yeah, every other service we provide over the years has had to go up.
Allotments are valuable, they're useful, they're valuable, you can get a lot of physical, mental health, etc. Hands and vegetables. So, yeah.
It's not a lot of money if we do put them up. From our budget perspective. So to put that one to bed, can I suggest that on a future agenda, we have a review of the allotment pricing?
And I suggest we roll it, so we cover cost of all etc. Again, I think it's just for you, then we get the judging. I don't know about the time, there's all they can say. So again, it's just a way to keep it ticking over on a regular. If you pay for something, it's a valuable. There's either. Consequence of the cost of burning. You look at some of the numbers here, you say gas and electric up 30% or whatever, then you took some hefty things there.
And because we've not gone up for a long time, if you go back 10, 12 years, we were probably subsidising the allotments by somewhere between 5 and 7.5 grand a year. And as things have gone up, that figure has gone up because the price of the allotments has remained sort of the same. I think the easiest way to handle that, because it's not going to have a big effect on this budget one way or the other. I think if we want to look at the allotments as a separate thing, I think it needs to come back to a future meeting for a review. And put me and go to the allotment committee as well.
I think that all the fees and charges aren't going to pay that much
You know,
of a dent in it. So I think the suggestion we look at them all with is
To review all fees and charges then.
is reasonable.
Yeah.
If anything we get back is a bonus.
Yeah.
This year, if some of them can come in,
Sure.
next year, they'll have them through. 24. So I'll maybe have a review of all the.
Early next year after Christmas. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we got it.
And then if we did want to review any of them, and we have to give notice, we could give notice before April, so that it will kick in for next year. Yeah. Right, so where do we go with the rest of this then?
Well,
Well,
I was going to ask a question on appendix 4. The red bar, is that how, is that the level that was raised in pre-set was raised last year?
The red bar is, no, what the figure would be for this figure from 23. It's the 825.
And is that if we leave the pre-set as it is?
That, no, that's,
Right,
Just 30 days, 674, 0% interest, 0% interest, 825.
so the 22.36% is the level of increase, sounds a lot, but it's not. The value of it. But that's what we need to increase it now for.
that is it.
two,
You
yeah,
don't get-
it's,
Yeah, that's if you leave all the budgets as they are and we don't take any savings out of it.
So it's for a band D, it's 61 p a week. That's what I said.
Increase. Yeah.
Over a 3-year period, if possible. Goes up to a 3-year period.
Oh. Is it up to us to approve this budget for the full council?
We have to send a recommendation to full council. I'm not sure we can do it properly without agreeing the tenders first. Doesn't do affect it.
Well, can, perhaps it's early, but can we just bring that private item forward, then we could come back to the election? So that you can do that with other items, can't you?
not right.
But the budget assume that we've got items highlighted. In the one.
Two different versions. One is cost without any extra. The other one is we put a set of assumptions in, there'll be this many, or this many, whatever. And we've done the same with all of them. And it's obviously based on what they've got with their outlay, blah, blah, blah. And so the second one with the extra bit is that was highlighted for the change adoption. I think that is.
What's our overall reserves? Oh, those are what we're receiving here, we need a preset of figures.
Yeah, but what you've also got to remember, there's two things you've got to remember.
60.
From memory, I think the general reserves has to be a minimum third of the turnover. But the more your turnover goes up, in proportion, the amount of reserves you've got to have goes up as well, which makes it difficult. And the other thing with reserves, if we take some out of reserves this year, I've got enough to get much anyway. But if we took some out of reserves this year to top it up, next year you would want another increase, plus you wouldn't have the money in reserves to take it to settle down, so you'd have a whole new budget. You can't. If you increase preset, you've got that money every year. If you take it from reserves next year, you'd be looking for to cover what you've got to, look out the reserves, plus the increase as well.
We get the, we do ask one. Question on the audits. Did the auditor have any question about the level of our reserves? Say for obviously, there the earmark reserves, thousands of okay. So how can we make a real decision about discussing the draft contract?
Well, the only suggestion I can make is it's not keeping anything secretive whatsoever, because the budget has to come back to full council next. But to discuss the recommendation, we try to get this head around to give full council a steer which way to go. I think we need to get this head round the tenders. So I think probably the better way out of it is to defer the remainder of this budget review item till we've done the rest of the agenda and got to item 11, and then to discuss it after we've explained what the situation is as to what's gone up by how much with the tenders, and then we can discuss it better. And then we can say, well, you can't reduce that because some of these figures cannot be reduced if we accept the tenders. And if we start talking about that now, we'll be talking about the figures in the tenders, which we can't do because we're not in a private session.
Right, so then so what you're saying, we park up this agenda item. So later on tonight.
That's my suggestion, right?
So shall we crack on with that then?
Well, it depends what everyone else wants to do.
Well, it seems to me, Chair, that I can't do anything until we discuss the tender.
The only thing that we can do is we can say to the slightly against discussing this in writing,
Yes, I know.
because it should be open and
Yes.
the rest of it. I think we can say to the full council that we prefer because just looking at it's gone off the where is it out? The Alkinco's budget is saying it's 98,000. Large part of that 98,000 is in the tenders. At least a third of it, I guess, without looking at the figures.
You can tell the ones that are, because they're in blue, yellow, they are the ground.
Yeah, so that's
It's 2/3 of it actually.
Sorry. So you can't,
it's
why would it describe it? Just the budget, why would that describe it?
it's got going. Well, the reason for the private item being at the end is, say, that's a private item, they're not items, do that, but then you can't hold this up again because people don't know when to.
Switch back on, watch it.
Give people a time and advertise, right?
You know, that's the. That's it. Market.
What I can tell you is that what, we have looked at in the tenders, what we are proposing to recommend anyway, that value is covered. It's covered.
Yeah.
And it's in all the ones that are blue.
Yes.
So basically, you know, this is become, and those figures.
So we can't amend the blue figures. Well, why don't we?
So we'll go through the
Or
budget
the
then,
others.
if there's anything we want to take out, and if it's a figure that myself and Gina have already gone through, and Gina knows we can't change it, well, she'll just have to tell you that figure can't be
Yeah.
changed, and then we'll carry on with what the next one,
Yeah.
and do it like that then. That's fine. Now we'll discuss the tender in the other bit after.
Yeah, might as well do that. Okay. £1,000 out of that, without. The overall figure.
Those, outline your methodology, okay? Are we spending that much this year? Because of the capital? How aggressive or how creepy?
To be honest, I've probably tried to keep figures as low as I can. Thinking that, I mean, obviously some of the uplifts going, then you offer a fact cost more than 2%. But it's the overall figure. I don't know. I've tried to put where I think I can. But like I said, there are people there that, I mean, obviously, if we decide not to get the loan to be approved. And how we do it. And then you do, you know, or whatever, then that will take.
Can I say what I think we should do with the loan for the road? I don't think now's the right time to do it because interest rates are going up. And I think we need to amend, hopefully, as long as it takes, for the interest rates come back down so that they're more in favour of what we can afford to pay the loan back. So I think that temporarily we should shelve the roof and make them amend until loans have sort of started going back down and gone down at least half of what they've just gone up recently. And get it at a better price.
The only thing with that is, you don't know when.
No, we don't.
That's the problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
When's
Yeah, I
the
know.
next review?
Well, the rates come down a bit in terms of long-term mortgage. Yeah, they are stabilising them down. Not quickly, but.
Yeah, we're talking of possibly this Thursday.
Eventually we'll come down. I mean, Jonathan might not remember because he's not as old as some of us, but I mean, I can remember when, an hour ago, I can remember when interest rate was 10%.
I don't know, I couldn't want to go
And then it went to, it eventually ended up at nearly nothing, didn't it?
Yeah, well, yeah. But it was only going to go one way eventually.
Do, Do any of you sort of have an idea of what kind of increase you think would be acceptable? And if you can work back from that, then we know which we need to take out, or try to take out.
An increase, free deadline.
22% probably will see for the first year. If you have a 3 year, it reaches 33%.
What's the green? 11.10.
That's current rate of inflation.
Oh. No.
I think we're looking at that for, that at the 74, 75,000. Or, so we're talking somewhere between.
You went to the 75, you'd have to take some cuts, big cuts out.
Yes. 100,000 is 25,000 back in. So, but till we know what, well, the 75 is about half the increase.
Yeah.
We need to know what that is in terms of what 75,000 is in terms of. I think it's not here, isn't it?
I asked, do we know whether the pendulum might be sure one of the increases?
Yeah. Around 3%. They do social care.
Who's not Lancashire? The verdict, no, that's fine.
People used to be 2, but it's 3. Lancashire County Council is there very good because they can put it on for, and then put it on again for social services, can't they? Yeah.
They probably do 3 and then 2. The Chancellor, Bishop, or somebody said you could go as high as 5% if you want. Bless you.
Some just thinking what, you know, the number of facts. We're going to be taking.
Yeah. It's going to be hard on the council tax base, no matter what. But we can't put it up any less than what our prices have had to go up for things we have to pay for, unless we make some cuts. And that's where the decisions are around, isn't it?
So if we decide to go with the 1.10%, which is the rate of inflation, which seems fair,
Yeah.
we need to discuss right now what things we're going to take out of the budget.
That's the background.
Yeah. And you can't take the blues out, because we're committed to that.
Yeah.
Which is an increase. And you can't take anything related to the tenders out, assuming we accept the tenders, with little choice. We'll accept them. So there isn't a lot of scope. That's what we've been trying to get us head around all weekend and last week, isn't it? There isn't a lot of scope finding 75 grand to take out.
Here's, although you've been fairly sharp with a few things, I would say there's obviously some nice fleshy round numbers with that. Things like repairs and maintenance. You know, there's several pots of repairs and maintenance. Even if you take out the 800 town hall, it's all got 20,000 plus 25 plus 30. Years. Same for even playgrounds have 3,500. And if we're not spending that, then you could say they're the ones where you could say we've got earmark reserves. You would possibly be spending 5 town Because they're the areas where we have the advice.
Town's taken some, different town hall one this year. April. We are utilising that. They don't spend the funds.
Yeah.
But like you say, yeah, the figures in for repairs and maintenance. I mean, basically the 820,000 is basically just 20,000 because the 800 is the roof. If you do that, to take that out, it's like 20 grand.
Yeah.
If you look at what we spent this year, we can't pass. But also trying to bring it
If there was, if we didn't do the 800, didn't do the repair one, that's what I look at. And you got the idea that, well, if something's leaving, you have to do a big shadow of work there. That's where you're in on reserve. So it needs to be one off the head. And we fixed the clock. That's gone.
That's-
That's what I hit the number of all 3 years. 2,900 for the year. Why would the clock then?
That was it.
Or why?
That's-
You.
Yeah,
It
it
was
was
a number of
meant-
Sunday, wasn't it? Right, because it was residential, wasn't it? It still is.
He said he's going to change, I told him to change it to red.
Change it
And he
colour.
said he hasn't got around to it.
Yeah, I got it. I told him it was, I'm sure it was for remembrance.
I would say, yeah, so I think if we look at the repairs maintenance pots, once you've got those round numbers, then that's the area where we should. cut across the portfolio. You know, we all know that you get the best return on those numbers, like biggest pots in the first place, so.
Yeah.
Have a look at those, see what's there. I think whether it's something we know we're going to have to do, so you put the preventative maintenance. But if it's something that's like, we don't know of anything, this is just here as a safety question. And they're the items you're going to trim, bit, or remove altogether. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, do we stick with, right, before I say what I'm gonna say, the biggest increase is in the ground rent. Right, it's fairly substantial, I'm not looked at it, but it's a big increase.
Yeah.
But we'd like to think, we're going to get an increase in service and people will see that result.
Yes.
So could we say, fair enough, we're putting it up by 22.36. Well, that's to take into account the massive increase in the cost of the ground maintenance. And that is just something that you're going to see as a result of the increase in maintenance. Before it's gone, actually. It's just the way.
It certainly helps if you can say this is when we've got.
Yeah.
Job.
You know what I mean?
There is another option to find somebody as well. Normally, when it comes to end of year, if we have a budget for something and it's not being spent, we have usually been, over the years, been quite lenient and let them roll the balance over so that it adds up in addition to next year's budget. So if they didn't spend 5,000 and we got 20,000 budget next year, they ended up with the 25 because we let it roll forward.
Yeah.
I think on this year, we could do like most other councils do and not let it roll forward and put that back into reserves, which would allow us then to take a better amount out of reserves to top up the budget for this 1 year. Where we're in a bit of a hole.
It's actually, it's,
Yes.
that's like, I don't know what we're doing all that. Yeah.
Oh, we have a lot, we did. But it's like, let
It's nowhere near that, but
If you look at the income and expenditure, you look at the back page. It's like, the figure at the bottom, which at the moment is 104,751.
Which one,
That is
sorry,
what
which
we've
one are we looking at? Yeah, sorry, not, maybe I don't have it printed.
got.
Oh, I don't know,
It's just the normal, but that is what we've got for the rest of the year, basically, so I'm not anticipating a big surplus. Because that still lasts until the end of March.
no, we get the 25 grand. It brings the 100 figure we need to put it or down to 75, won't it?
I think it's really, you said, let's be honest about unspent back in the box.
I mean, if it's committed in the sense that we're paying some of it for something this year and some next year, then we've got to vote for, haven't we? We've no choice.
If we talk about the cameras, just pay two this year and six next.
Yeah.
But we're sort of assuming that six is going to be.
Yeah, so I wouldn't,
Sort of that result.
I wouldn't draw that.
No. So when it's definitely committed, will be spent within the first month, 2 months. That's when we can have it on the rest of the.
We couldn't spend it because it's another 1963 and you can't spend anything. That's a different scenario. But where it's, I mean, to me, it always seems to be the same areas that don't quite spend it.
Yeah, just like in your area, committee, you see the gross spot. You've been spending it that end of the year. You got to.
Yeah. And I think we're going to have to do that with some of the, you know, with some subcommittees and committees.
So looking at this budget, if I take out the loan. Look at the, like say, the larger parts, like the repairs and maintenance. Yeah,
I was saying, you know, comments on a big
Equipment.
playground or rivers or town hall or whatever. And again, that's looking like a one-off item.
yeah, so equipment
Anyway.
infrastructure. But I will say though, is we used to, in the budgets, we used to put in contingencies for things instead of none of those.
You know, we've got an emergency reserve of 30,000 for playgrounds. Well, does it need to be 30?
I think that was in there in case, you know, because we developed four in play areas, I think that's in case we want. So, but they were quick.
Maybe
You
we
could
should,
say,
so maybe we should say, oh, call that 20 rather than 30, that gives us the. Can we feel about it's a big hit? Yes. So
Good. Change to name our reserve for cost of living. Other than federal rate, but that's got to pay for all the big utility bill. They just said for the town hall. But yeah, it recognises well, you put some assumptions in there about some increases. I know just Primon's only got £1,000, but just £1,000 per year.
That is based on usage, it's based on the rates, we're in contract until, it was June 2024. But, that's based on, there has been increased usage, but that's just based on.
On rate.
Okay.
we'll get a good idea in June 24, because it's going to double then, isn't it?
Well, hopefully, well across that.
Ukraine is all about it.
We found our own source of energy driving around.
And what do we think
Well,
about
we'll
the
see.
pot for the? It was something that we thought would be a good thing to do.
That one, there,
No, it was just saying.
is it a single family?
No, we made it like 3 inches with it, so. So it will be basically like,
It wasn't so long ago, when we got that new lease, wasn't it? No, I think we should leave that. Well, have you recently committed to it, potentially, yes. Because somebody realised how to.
Because it's a new thing, and it's only a couple of months since we agreed it, I wouldn't really want to be taking it away.
I think it's one of those ones, it's a bit like, I'm a council taxpayer, what do I get from it? And getting events, joining that, getting the ability to rent facilities, getting things going on, etc. at the park, and getting things going on in nature. So I can enjoy living from the tax I pay, and what COVID does for me. And I think it's one of those things with that one.
I don't want to lose £10,000, whatever I was in August.
Still got a whole bunch of expenditure already in the budget for it.
So if we go back to David's idea of figuring out this to me, what sort of figure was that?
Depends what goes wrong with it over the year.
For me, if for the purpose of tonight,
But you could say about 30-40.
but half of the year.
And you could argue, look at any of the bigger pots, like the town hall, like some of the facilities, you've got some of these other pots, not just repairs and maintenance, but other things that are there just in case.
Yeah.
Not going to get another 10 or 20 there.
With the repairs and maintenance, there's some of the money you've got to spend because it's an emergency, something goes wrong and it's got to be fixed. And it might even be a safety issue.
And you know it's going to happen.
And there's some items in repairs and maintenance that are things that you know, it's a very nice sunny day, it's something you'd like to do. But
Yeah.
they have to think about it, don't they? But anything that's either an emergency or a safety issue, they'd have to be priority, we don't. Yes. Yeah, out of earmark reserve for it. If there were one for that. Yeah. That's one of it, as well, as earmark reserve for players, isn't it?
If we take all those out, we head towards 11.1%. That's where I want to end up with.
I think we've got to head for a figure between the middle one and the lower one.
Yeah, we've got to head somewhere between.
Somewhere in that.
Between 10 and 15.
Yes, we've got to be somewhere within that parish.
I don't think we should, if we get to 11.9, I don't think we should spend forever in the day looking for the 1 day.
No,
So, you know,
no.
ideally, yeah, we need 11, but there's someone who used to work for us, who said, we aim to jump over the moon, but if we get over the backyard, okay, we'll be up.
what you need
Oh,
what we do come up with, obviously general inflation is high. So a lot of the things that we're doing anyway is costing us more. But we've also increased things by we all graded licenses for the livestock 365. That was one thing that's ongoing. Vacancy being that's another thing. obviously we're upgrading the system, so because we're putting extras in as well, I think we might take a slight higher.
Then we have people jobs as well. If we want our facilities and admin manager able to do marketing the facilities a bit more, you know, putting out Facebook posts and adverts and whatever, trying to see what you can do to get the little pounds here and everywhere. Don't over the target. I'm not going to say it's more about it.
So I take it then, we're asking Gina to take out the ones we've mentioned and adjust the ones. And then if she emails everyone on this committee, we can then probably have some sort of a consensus to go to full council, so, yeah. Because it's nothing that we have full control over, because rug's been pulled from under a state because prices that we have to pay. So, and I think council taxpayers will understand that in principle. But obviously, they'll want us to keep the figures as low as we can.
Yeah, but
If it comes in between them two figures, I think
yeah, no, what I was going to say with it, it's off. For the people in general want to keep all the services, you know, the NHS, police, but nobody wants to put taxes on to pay for it. But at some point, somewhere, you know, the thing stops. And if Mr. No. No, Mr. Quanten. I can't remember what he's. No. So the guy that writes the kamikaze Quanten.
I think one thing we can't do is delay on such things as the repair work on the 9 down there, because it can just shoot itself in the foot if we do. Because the longer we delay that, the longer it becomes very income from it. But if we delayed another 6 months, we're doing that, we'll lose 6 months income, won't we? So there are some things we can't delay. Yeah. So can we put this one to sleep temporarily and get Gina to do those amendments to it, and then email us out the biggest thumbs up and see where it goes?
If you would, just like on one line, the percentage. If you just say, look, with this, it comes to 11.9%.
What I'll do is I'll say what
For
I've
example.
did,
Yes.
and say, well, text on this, this is what it comes.
Yeah.
And it equates to whatever I'm saying.
How many lines are there on the 55?
But here,
Retail.
Sorry, that was interesting.
So can we move on from Mark and 8 then? Seeing as nearly all meetings done.
Yeah.
Item 9. Update on download maintenance. Well, I think we know what that update is over. Especially with.
what's been fixed?
Yeah, got to be fixed, so we're going to delay it temporarily. Yes.
Also, they are currently treating the guy up at the 9. And in doing so, we have uncovered some asbestos. So they were removed this morning, and so we will have an additional cost.
What is in the saving program? Keep jumping on.
That exciting, right?
Yes.
Who was coming up with that?
We're moving on. Yeah, if everyone's finished, items for a future month's agenda.
We've already mentioned one.
We've already mentioned one.
Charges.
Oh, fine. I thought it was a lot more, but you mean general.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, we might as well do, rather than just pick on allotments. I think
Oh,
it's
pick
less
on allotments.
We'll do more of it.
Do them all.
Go through them.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You also want to cover how about communications around council changes? The explanations we've all discussed, what we get any more money or less money on.
Moving on then, the date and the time of the next regular meeting was scheduled for the 3rd. Yeah, but it was, the 3rd is the first day back after the Christmas break, which means the agenda would have to go out next week, which can't be done. So we have moved it to the 10th,
This is the.
which is then a week before full council, because full council's on 7 days, January. I won't like that we've been moved there, but if after go, then there's nowhere else we can look, it's my birthday.
Oh, no, oh, wow. So it's exciting numbers.
Everybody call the next item number.
And we ran.
It's an odd number.
Oh,
No, 10 to 8.
Words. It's 3/4 of a century.
oh, that's I'm not, you know. Please content a bit more.
So can we exclude the public switch off the live streaming?